I would say the theme of this, the thing I would tell him to start focusing on right away is understanding, what a syllabic consonant is. Syllabic consonant is when you have M, N, L, or R at the end of an unstressed syllable, and that vowel just gets taken over, wiped out, disappeared. Without further ado, Ramon Laguarta.
To the press, no? But the fact that suppliers and customers get into commercial tensions is just a fact of life.
So he seems to be putting like nice attention on stressed vowels. He's got a little bit of a pinched sound, right? He's got like more like a like up here, which is like not that familiar for a native speaker's ear, like American listener. But he does seem to have like musicality, right? But like he doesn't have this melody as much. It seems like he's kind of squeezing some of the muscles up in here, closing down this channel or pathway of air a little bit. I can hear him putting a little bit extra attention on consonant sounds, which makes a lot of sense for a Spanish speaker. Let's keep going and get into some details.
Win-win. So there's a much better collaboration.
A much, right? So that wasn't easy to understand because he put so much effort or energy on the M. It took away from the identity of the vowel, which is just right? Much, right? Listen how he says it.
Win-win. So there's a much better.
There's a much. It's almost like a hybrid of match. Like is it match or much, right? So remember, M is not ma. It's just slide right through much like that.
Imagine we won't talk about it, but I'm not.
That was good. Talk about it. Listen to that.
Imagine we won't talk about it, but
talk about it. Listen how he linked that consonant vowel linking with a flap T. That was really good, Ramon. That is something that you can only get from either being around native speakers a lot, especially when you're younger, or accent training. So he definitely has some. Not only is he talented in speaking a lot of languages, he has some skills with English, and he's using an American English from what I can tell.
Again? No, but they can eat Cheetos in many other customers. So we.
All right, that's not clear because of the way he's pronouncing can, but they can eat. Listen.
Again? No, but they can eat Cheetos in many.
But they can eat Cheetos. He's used the flap T for Cheetos.
Again? No, but they can eat Cheetos in many other.
Yeah, I guess it makes sense, man. Cheetos. But the way he's pronouncing the word can, he's destroying the intonation and contrast of the whole phrase. Because even with they, like, listen to this.
Again? No, but they can eat Cheetos in many.
But they can eat. What in those 4 words, they can eat. Which one is the most important? Eat. But from his intonation, you cannot tell because he's saying, but they can eat. Right? So he needs to make but, they, and can so much smaller, and we let that pitch go with eat. So he can say, but they can eat. You hear how I'm pronouncing can? I'm saying kin. He's saying can. But they can eat. But they can eat like that. That's how you pronounce can when you're not emphasizing it, right? If he was going to say, but they can eat, right, that would be different, but he's not doing that.
It's good for us, I think, in this topic to.
Good for us, right? Good for us.
No, I think it's good for us. I think
it's good for us. I said it's good for, right? He could be way more aggressive with that reduction. Way more. He's like making it small, but he's not removing the vowel sound, right? He's not saying fur. He's saying it's good for us. He said it's good for us. Just smashing those consonants together, sliding right through with the vibration. If you pronounce for too clearly, it takes away from the contrast. So I would say so far it's kind of like feeling kind of like a really advanced Spanish speaker that's still a little bit that's not a little bit, but it's really attached to pronouncing all of the words and syllables really clearly, because that's really what Spanish is about. Everything really clear.
2 years. So this is unusual. It's the first time we had to do that. We've done.
That was really the first time we had. I wish he would say "tuh." I wish he would have used the schwa instead of had to. But that was really nice pitch and musicality right there. Good job, Ramon.
Stabilizing, we're seeing
Stabilizing. Okay, here we go. Here we go.
finally. So we're seeing supply chain stabilizing.
Stabilize, stab. All right. It does say stab, right? It does say STAB. But I mean, this would be an example of, right? He read it and he didn't learn how to pronounce it by hearing it. Listen to how he's saying stab. This is a diphthong, so instead of stab, he should say stay. Hear the difference? Hear the continuation of the voice? Stab, stabe, abe, abe. Listen.
Finally, so we're seeing supply chain stabilizing.
Stabilizing. Stabilizing. Apuñalar. All right, Ramon.
So and that's due to a lot of bottlenecks in the agriculture industry.
Okay, I'll give him some respect on that. I wish he would say duda instead of do to, but man, that's not that crazy. But he's saying bottlenecks in the he said bottlenecks. He used that flap T, let us know it's not important. Nice smooth connection up and down. This was nice.
So and that's due to a lot of bottlenecks in the agriculture industry.
Yeah, I mean, he could have used a schwan agriculture as well. He said agriculture, but he still had nice contrast with agri. Right? If you said agra, right, it would be more obvious, but there was some distance in the pitch, so that was nice, man.
Equations in the commercial plants.
Commercial. All right, this is something that kills contrast here. Unstressed syllable that finishes with M. Remove that vowel, turn it into a reduction. Listen to what he says.
Equations in the commercial plant.
Commercial. Go. Right? Native speakers say Hear the difference? Huge difference. Call. He's saying commercial. We're saying commercial. Yeah, how much more obvious it is that it's unstressed in my version? Commercial. He's saying commercial. I'm saying commercial, like that. Oops.
And I would say geopolitics had less relevance. We're not thinking about so much the geopolitics. We're thinking more about the consumer and the customer.
Okay, he did it this time. You hear that? He said the consumer. He didn't say consumer. So this time he did that syllabic consonant. Made it sound a lot better. Nice job, Ramon.
So I wondered how that was going.
That's how we define ourselves. We play into
how we define.
That's how we define ourselves.
So how we define ourselves, or how we define. Right? It's all the same, right? How we do instead of how we do. You hear my version? We do. Say how we do. His version, how we define ourselves.
We play into very large categories. So you think about...
Oh, that was good. Categories. That sounded great. That was really good. Let's listen to that again. That sounded super clear, super natural.
We play into very large categories. So you think about...
Very large categories. That sounded really comfortable for my ears.
100 years.
I would say the theme of this, the thing I would tell them to start focusing on right away is understanding what a syllabic consonant is. Syllabic consonant is when you have M, N, L, or R at the end of an unstressed syllable, and that vowel just gets taken over, wiped out, disappeared.
100 years. So that's why it's so important that we're very good at consumer understanding. And through that consumer understanding,
it's because, he needs to just dedicate more responsibility to vibration. So he's like consumer instead of because it's just vibration, just consumer.
What we learn is that consumers are
that was a little better, I think.
Looking for different needs throughout the day, different occasions, and our mantra is
different needs for PepsiCo products. Yeah, man, you got to think outside the box for sure. But are we really looking for different needs throughout the day from PepsiCo products? I don't know.
We want to be always everywhere in consumer life. So always.
You hear that, you guys? PepsiCo wants to be everywhere in your lives.